All right, everyone. I want to welcome you to this week of how to become a top earner in any home-based business in 2016. I am very honored to have special guest, Mr. Stephen C. Krivda, here as a guest this week. For those of you that don't know, my name is Billy Josie here in the Fort Lauderdale area. And I started this weekly webinar to take a chance to really just kind of sit down with those that are top earners in the home-based business industry to have them share some tips, some strategies to help you become a top earner in 2016. So I'm very honored to have Mr. Stephen C. Krivda here with me tonight. So welcome, Stephen, and thank you very much for being here.
No, man, I appreciate you, Billy. This is cool stuff, man. You know, I really appreciate what you're doing here.
Yes. So Stephen, I know you're here in Florida as well.
Yep.
You're in Naples, Florida, right?
Yeah, right across the alley from you.
Okay, so yeah, you're about like an hour and 15 away. I love Naples, actually.
Yep.
I love it there. Yeah. Sometimes we spend, me and my wife and friends, we spend like 4th of July there sometimes. Sometimes we'll go down for the day for 4th of July to Naples Beach and watch the fireworks. So, yep, we love going down to the area. There's like a little, I want to say like a shopping area. There's a lake near it somewhere. A lot of shops downtown.
Miramar Lakes.
Miramar Lake. Okay.
Yeah.
Love it down there. Cool,
man. Awesome.
All right.
Totally
So as far as your entrepreneurial journey, I mean, what got you started as an entrepreneur? Just tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure, man. Of course. You know, it's it's not really that much different than most. You know, I started, what do we have? I'm in 10 years now. I've started way back in 06 because a couple of my buddies were doing it. My wife and I had just been married for about a year and a half, and all my married friends were doing it. And I'm like, well, it's a good chance to hang out with everybody, so why not? And, you know, and we did okay. And, you know, I don't know, the company just wasn't doing. I have a certain level of ethics that we try to adhere to, and I didn't like the way that things were going, so we stepped away and bounced all over the place for a couple of years, probably a dozen or so different companies. And it's kind of funny, you know, I was reading some of the email that you had sent over, and one of them is, you know, how does a top earner think? And it was funny. I was bouncing from company to company looking for the right thing, and it was interesting to find out that it was right here. Like, and but yeah, it's I had some success, but I didn't have a lot of success. And I'll tell you, this is the big one. This is kind of something that's coming to fruition over the last 6 or 8 months. It's that I didn't have any success because I really didn't need to. You know, I was basically working a full-time job, making good money, and I was good at what I did. And I worked with my wife and my father-in-law, so I really didn't need the money. Until the economy went the way it went, and that's when things started changing. You know, I needed money. I needed money. I needed to do something, and honestly, I just jumped back into the industry because I figured if I can make an extra $200-300 a month, awesome. You know, and it turned out to different, man. You know, I got the bug back into me, and I started seeing things that were possible. And you know, once you get that network marketing bug, man, it's just game over. You just got to find your right home. And I ended up partnering with the right people and finding the right, you know, the coaches that meant to mentor me. And yeah, man, started cruising up from there. So I don't know how far into the story you want me to go, but you know, if you want to.
No, as far as you want to go, wherever you feel you want to share, that's cool. Oh yeah.
Sure, man, sure. So for the first time in my life, I was broke. That was a weird place to be. It's never happened before. I've always had money in my pocket and always had, you know, quite a bit of change in my pocket in a bank account. And, you know, with that economy, just like everybody else, you know, we lost pretty much everything, our house, our money, and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, I believe personally, I believe it was a blessing. I think, you know, and I know you don't, I'm pretty sure you don't mind me talking like this. You know, I think God was giving me a sign that I needed to pay attention to what I'm doing and understand that, look, life isn't about money. Life is more about, you know, serving and helping people. And that's where I started catching on to things where, all right, so this isn't about just me making money. This is about me showing people and helping people make money as well. And how can I help people with my product, service, or opportunity? And I was like, all right, so now that I have that, now what do I do? And so it was interesting. You know, there's several different points where it kind of like gave me that punch to the stomach, where I remember one of them, and I've said this so many times, so I'm pretty good at holding my emotions back. But I was walking through the store, and I was holding my little boy's hand, and I was taking him to buy a birthday gift for his friend. And I remember, I'll give you briefs because I'm going to hold it together.
Okay.
Because this is a hard one for a dad. You know what I mean? You have kids?
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. You'll get it, man. When you look at your son or your daughter's eye and you know what's coming. I remember him saying, you know, because we were buying something for his buddy, so he's like, you know, can I get one too? And we didn't have the money to buy his friend a gift. We were just putting on another credit card. And I remember looking at him and just, you know, I wasn't telling him the whole truth. I basically told him, today's not the day to buy something for you. Today's for your friend. But in reality, we just didn't have the money. And I was like, you know what? That was a feeling I never want to get again. And that was one of the big switches that just said, all right, the way we're living isn't right. And I have what's in my hands to make a change in our life forever. And it's time to go. It's time. So all that stuff that I had went right into action.
Yeah. So like when what Jim Rome says, the day that turned your life around, right?
What? Say it again.
That's sort of what Jim Rome says, the day that turned your life around. That moment where you're like, enough is enough. Something has to change.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. I know that initially, when, like I said, you started having some success, but when do you think was the moment you're like, yeah, you know what, I've arrived, and I think I'm going to continue on. I'm going to cruise on into top earner status. When was that moment that you think?
What was the moment? That's a good question. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that.
Thank you.
Awesome. You know, it's funny. The moment I've been going to events. I mean, okay, so if you're listening right now and you haven't been to a company event, that's going to change for the next one. You're going to go to the next event. Whatever that event is for you, go to that next event. And I remember going to an event, and somebody came up behind me, and I don't know who she was. I didn't recognize her because, you know, Facebook is different pictures and face-to-face. Weird how that works out.
Like, that's you?
It's like, this is glamour shots. What are we doing here? And he came up behind me and just squeezed me, and I'm like, and she was a little itty bitty girl, and I was like, hey, and she's in tears, and I was like, hey, how are you? And she's like, and as soon as she said her name, I knew right away who she was, and she's like, I said, what are you doing? She's like, I can't believe I'm meeting you. You've literally changed my life. And I was like, wow. And then we started having a conversation, and it was talks that her and I we only had like 2 or 3 different talks. And I was like, wow, it's crazy. And the more people that I met that weekend, the more I realized that, you know, the conversations that I was having, and, you know, just by continuing to push through adversity, it was changing people's lives. And, you know, I've had several people come up to me that tell me that it's renewed their faith. And then I was like, all right, I got it. I'm hearing you loud and clear. So this is where I need to be. And that was, and so I would push from event to event to event, and I don't miss events. So each time I go, I want to meet new people that I've changed their life. And it's not an arrogance or it's about me thing. I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. Yeah. Because if I go to an event and nobody says, hey, oh my gosh, then I need to turn it up higher.
Exactly. So yeah, that's a great point. You mentioned that events are so important. You know, just kind of getting out and meeting the people in your company and making the connections and building the relationships. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I'm kind of going to switch gears a little bit here as far as now that you're a top earner, now that you're having a success, what can you share with those that are watching? What you do to market and to grow your business now.
You know what I do? I laugh because I am so out of the norm from like most network marketers. Like, I'm not a huge lead generator. I'm not like, I'm just not that guy. I mean, I have been in the past, you know, but I would say the majority of the people that are on any of my teams, And even the people that I coach one-on-one that take advantage of my personal one-on-one coaching, I never reach out to them. They've come to me, and that's something that's really kind of like, and it's hard to get used to. I had a buddy of mine, and he's just, actually the last two people, they came to me and they're like, hey, I've been watching you. It sent me an email. How can I hire you as a coach? And it's such a weird thing to get because it's so hard to get here. So like when it actually happens, you don't really believe it. It's just really hard to believe. So on a daily basis, the most consistent thing I do is I create a piece of content every day. That's pretty much it. And I'll get leads that come in here and there, but most of my successes come from meeting people and just having a conversation and understanding. One thing that I've gotten really good at is having an open, present conversation with people. And I think that honestly, if whoever's watching this right now, if you really want to go crazy, understand how to have an authentic conversation with somebody where you completely remove yourself from the conversation. Completely remove yourself. It's not about you, has nothing to do with you, except for you're there to help the person that you're speaking with. Because if you listen long enough, you're going to find a way to help them. So once you start providing value from them, they're going to be like, it's such a neat conversation to have, to see the switch or hear the switch over the phone. You'll hear a different breathing pattern. You can hear a smile over the phone because our face is right here. You'll hear something happen, and you'll know right then and there. You say, all right, I'm on the right path. So I need to, and sometimes I'll just ask, be like, is that triggering something? And they say, yeah. Say, awesome. What can we do from here? How can I help you? If they say, well, what do you do? And that's where, are you talking about your company at all, Billy?
Yeah, well, yeah, we can mention, you mean, the marketing system or?
Yes.
Yes, you can mention marketing. Most
okay,
definitely.
Cool. I want to make sure that, because this is your deal, man.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah.
I'll honestly, I don't steer people anywhere, but what I'll do is I'll find the void and dump something in the void and see if it fits. So I just start asking questions. What are you doing? What are you doing to put value in the marketplace? And they say, well, I don't know what that means. I say, all right. And then I start talking to them about what value is, and how to the Invest, Learn, Teach, ILT, and where that can come from, and how you can drive a person that doesn't know who you are to a free training, to a conversation, to a relationship, to a partnership. And I give them a kind of like a 2 to 5 minute synopsis on how that works. I'm like, I've never heard of that before. I'm like, yeah, it's really not that hard. And as soon as that happens, then I say, okay, cool, it's there. And if they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, it's like you're speaking Greek to me. I'll start talking about my network marketing company. I have no idea where I'm going with the conversation until they let me know whether they're consciously or subconsciously doing it.
Wow. That's a great approach, because again, you're just connecting with them. You're not like trying to sell them. You're trying to, like you say, you're trying to figure out how you can best serve them, and help them, get where they want to be. So, like you said, you just kind of disconnect yourself and get yourself out of it and make it all about them, which is a lot different from most people that are trying to become, a top earner, or trying in the home base, and they try to make it all about themselves. You got to get in. You got to get in now. You got to get in now. Instead of asking those questions, how can I serve you? What can I do to help you? What do I need to do for you? So awesome.
It's a long journey to if you want to rank advance, it takes a little while to get there. But I'll tell you, my retention rate is high because I've built that relationship, and they know. I'm not, it's sometimes it's hard to get a hold of me, but I'm always there to help somebody somewhere. I'm getting my text, it's texting me right now, but they know if I don't get back to them that I've got something going on. I'm not ignoring them.
Yeah. Wow. That's so key. Wow. So you mentioned something about as far as growing your business, like where did you learn how to do most of the things? Like where did you learn how to provide value, all this stuff? Where did you learn that from? So we kind of talked about it briefly with the marketing system, but where did you actually learn that? You can talk more about that too. I
knew Ray Higdon before he was Ray Higdon. So him and I were buddies years and years ago. And I knew him right before he kind of like flipped the crazy switch that he has. And I kind of followed him a little bit. And I'll tell you, this is funny that I just didn't want to do what he was doing. I was like, there was walls of resistance everywhere. I didn't want to follow him. I was just like, whatever, man. It's just a weird thing. And in fact, it's funny because our marketing system that we talk about, my buddy Alex joined him, who lives here in Naples with me. He called me, he was like, Steve, you have to see what this is. And I was like, whatever, man. So I look at it, I'm like, it seems cool, I'll buy it. And because I didn't care, because I had money coming in. And when I got into the system, I started studying it and watching it, and I'm like, wow, this is really crazy. And I'm like, oh, damn it, Ray. Like, somehow you infiltrated my life. And so no, and then, you know, him and I are like best buddies. So I followed him quite a bit. I ended up hiring him as a coach, a year-long coach about a year and a half ago. And that's when things, I was just hitting full time at the time. And that's when things really went, it's really nuts.
Wow. So that was great for you too, that you found a mentor that can kind of pour into you.
Yeah.
To help you go to that next level.
Yeah. And it was funny because I created stevekrivda.com back in 2011, and I was just creating this training. I had no idea why I was doing it. I didn't know why I was doing it. I just know that I was supposed to. I didn't get the concept. I mean, it was like really kind of ridiculous because I remember calling my dad. I'm like, Dad, I made my own website after I had some stuff on it first. And and I was like, check it out. And we're on the phone. He's like, why are you doing this? I'm like, I really have no idea. I honestly have no idea. I'm like, I make money from it though. And he's like, how? I'm like, I have no idea. It hasn't started working yet.
Wow.
So I really had no idea what I was doing at all. I just know that I was supposed to learn and teach. That's it.
Yeah. Wow.
So stupid. I was coachable. I didn't ask questions. I just did it.
Yeah. So I'm just going to talk a little bit more about it, about the events, because you mentioned about events, how important they are to you, you know, growing in your business, and I guess I'm pretty sure important to you become a top earner. What would you say to someone that said, you know what, I don't need to go to events to become a top earner to grow my business? What would you say to that person that says, no, I don't need to go to events?
I would say it's not what you know. It's not what you know that reflects what your success is. It's your bank account. And it's a crude thing to say. I don't say that to everybody. I do say a joke, a serious joke. I'll say. When somebody says I don't need to go to events, I usually follow them right up as quickly as I possibly can. I tell them, said no top earner ever. You will always. You ask any top earner in any company in any part of this industry, and you ask them if they go to events, they're going to say, I don't miss them. And there's a reason. It's funny, and I'll briefly go into this. We, in my personal MLM, we have every 30 to 45 days we have a training, which is in your neck of the woods, and we have constantly. And I'll tell you, it's almost the same training every time. It's a different person, but every time I go, I hear something different, and every time I come back, my business goes up. Every single 30 to 45 days, and every 3 months we have a big event somewhere in the United States. And I go to that event as well. And it's the same trainers saying almost the same thing. And every single time I go, I hear something different. And there's always another switch, and it takes me up another gear. And here's the funny thing. When people say, I don't want to go to events, I don't need events, I'll say, you know what? You're probably the only person on your team.
So true.
Because
so true.
Your team's going to do what you do, and if you're not going to events, they're not going to go either. An event where everything happens.
Yeah, so true. Very true. Like the saying goes, repetition. If you want to develop a skill, you got to do repetition. Repetition is the mother of skill. So
Right on, man.
Whatever
Sorry,
you do, even
super
in the home
dehydrated today.
Oh, no problem, no problem at all. Yeah, even in the home business industry, you gotta do it over and over again. Even though you may think I've seen that before, but that's how you develop the skill, by doing it over and over and over and over again.
Yep.
Wow.
Imagine going to an event, you're making $1,000 a month, and you heard one thing and you go, man, I'm going to implement that when I get home tonight or tomorrow or Monday or whatever it is. And it takes you from $1,000 a month to $10,000 a month, because that happens all the time. It's not an anomaly. That happens all the time. Yeah. So why would you rob yourself? If, say, it cost you $900 to go to an event, that $900 could literally cost you $1 million or $100,000 in a year.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. So, Stephen, so you mentioned some great tips. One, being able to provide value, being able through videos, through blog posts. Two, building relationships with the people, actually having a good conversation with them, and going to events. Those right there are just great tips, for anyone that wants to become a top earner, in their business, or be on the way to top earner status in 2016. Would you have any closing thoughts? Anything that you want to share that you think could help the audience listening here?
Yes. I'm gonna bounce on a couple of different topics if you're okay.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Sure. So one of the things that we need to really be cognizant about is the value that we put out it's useless unless you know who you're talking to. Mm-hmm. So in other words, I was putting out a ton of content and I had no idea who I was speaking to until I started forming who I was. So I realized I realized that I started speaking to a lot of dads that want to be home with their kids and then wanted to retire their spouse. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. And I didn't know that this was happening. It was just kind of forming itself. Mm-hmm. So it's a good idea to figure out who you want to speak to. So if you're a father, or say you're a 25-year-old college graduate, if that's your deal, speak to 25-year-old grads. Don't try to bounce outside of who you are, because then you have to learn that person. So be who you are and start talking to that niche. If you're a baby boomer, great. If you're a millennial, that's awesome. If you're, a husband, if you're just a married person that you have no children, that's fine. Speak to that person. If you're a single mom that's a nurse, awesome. Be that person and speak to those people, because you're not going to be limited to the number of people that you talk to. If you Google how many single mom nurses are out there, I bet you find 1 million, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 million of them. You know what I mean? Or more. I'm just throwing numbers out there. So find out who you're speaking to and really, really hone in on that. And don't just let it come out in your content, like your written or your video content. Let it come out in your social media feed too, and let you be you. Let people come along on that journey with you, because that's so powerful. One of the things that I was doing in the very beginning was I was hiding the struggle. And I didn't want people to see that I was struggling. I didn't want them to see that I was sitting in front of my computer at 2 o'clock in the morning going, the hell am I doing? This is silly. It's 2 in the morning. Why am I sitting in front of my computer? I should be sleeping in bed by my wife right now. And you don't want people to see that part of you, but it's okay, because other people are going through that. Yes. So that's that part of it. The events, look, I don't make my team go. I don't make them go. I tell them why I go. I tell them the results that I get every single time. If they don't want to go, then that's just the way that is. I will tell you this, and this is rough, but it's something I had to get used to. I had to tell my team, or I had to act and kind of bring it into team meetings, so I'm not singling people out. I tell people I work with serious people. The serious people go to events. So if you want my help, you've got to put effort forth. This is not a one-man show. Steve Krivda can't take care of this entire team. You've got to do your part of it. I'll do everything I can for you. However, you also have to help as well. So there's those two things. I would definitely, in fact, it's really kind of neat. I'm going through April Marie Tucker's Instagram training again for like the 3rd time. I grew my following into like 8,000. I was getting leads all the time. Then I kind of diverted to some other stuff, and so I'm coming back to it. You want a lead flow, especially in the beginning. In the beginning, I was getting leads a lot, and so when you're getting a constant flow of leads, this thing right here is not heavy at all, because you don't give a crap if somebody tells you no. It doesn't matter, because you have 20 people lined up that want to talk to you. So,
exactly.
So you call up your buddy and he's like, "Oh, you're crazy." He's like, "I'm not as crazy as the other 22 people who want to talk to me, man. Have fun at your job tomorrow." No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying. But you say that stuff in your head because you don't care anymore. It's not about the leads coming in to recruit people. It's about the leads that change your mindset so you can have a conversation and not worry so much about, oh my gosh, my one person this week said no. Oh, life is over. So that helps a ton. So definitely find something that you like. If everybody's running towards Facebook or Snapchat or whatever, or Instagram or whatever, I typically don't follow them. I'll go somewhere else where it's a little bit more peaceful, where I know the strategy is still going to work anyway. Yeah. This is the last part of it, and this is the big one. Okay. You could know all the strategies in the world. Your phone could be a half an ounce. You could have an amazing supportive wife and supportive kids, but if you don't believe that it can happen for you, it's not going to happen. It's something you really got to wrap your head around. And I know you're going to bring it up anyways. Even I hit L5 like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and then the weird thing about it was it didn't become real until that post. Brian Finale put out a blog post yesterday, and I saw my name on the jersey. That's when it became real. It was 2 weeks later, and I have been pushing for that since the beginning of the year, hardcore, like speaking to people, enrolling people, and like just trying to make it happen. And it's not that I didn't believe it was going to happen. It had just been such a long time life goal, or not life goal, but network or whatever you want to call this, an industry journey. That it just didn't believe it was final. I was like, in fact, it hit. I got the email. I was like, "Oh, cool," and I just went right back to work like it was nothing. And I was like, "What the heck?" Like Danielle came home and she's like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, "Oh man, I hit L5." And she's like, "Oh, awesome, high five!" And that was it. That was the celebration. It was just really ridiculous. It wasn't until that blog post came out that I really started like getting excited. And so, the belief in you is going to be the biggest thing. You talked about in your email, you had made a note in there. You were talking about the mindset of somebody that's made it. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, there's two things. Invest in yourself. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself. The money that I paid Ray Higdon was enough to buy a second car for my family. And it wasn't the money that made the difference, and it wasn't the training that made the difference. It was me taking that credit card and handing it to the person on the other side of the desk and letting go. Yeah. Because all of a sudden I became worthy of that training. Yeah. And I put that value on me. So invest in yourself. Even if you start off with $60 or $150 training, it doesn't matter. When you invest in yourself, you start realizing I'm worth this. Yeah. And as that happens, you get results. You step up. Because my first training was like $20. And then all of a sudden I freaked out at $700. And then I spent like $1,500. And all of a sudden I'm in these 5-figure numbers, and I'm like, I must be insane. And it's not that, man. It's you increase the level of belief. So when you increase your level of belief in yourself, your possibilities go crazy. So when you know you're valuable and you need just a little bit of belief, like a mustard seed of belief. Ironically, if you have a mustard seed of belief in yourself, you plant that. And once that starts growing, I'm telling you, like this is the biggest struggle that everybody in the industry has. So if you're struggling with it, join the club. It's going to happen, because most marketers don't come from this hoity-toity rich background. Typically they come because they're looking for something bigger in their life, and they don't just want $100. They want impact. And in order to go through the impact, you have to go through the struggle. And if you know that the struggle is going to happen, then you can say, great, I'm struggling. I'm on my way.
Yep.
Then you can say, this sucks. Sweet. My heart hurts so bad. I think this is a good thing. So like when that happens, just know that you're on the right journey. So I'm telling you, like I talk about beliefs so much. And that's, I mean, here, one of my biggest, I'll show you. You'll see my war board, but above my war board, right there, can you see that? Finish.
Finish.
Yep.
Wow.
No matter what you do, you've got to finish it. If you start something, you got to finish. And that's the biggest, I mean, everything in here, those are the biggest letters.
Finish. Yep. You got to finish it. Wow. Krivda, thank you so much, man, for coming on here and sharing some value and just really just pouring out and just giving everyone some tips on what they can do to grow in the business, to become a top earner status. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. This is awesome. Awesome.
Hey, can I say one more thing?
You sure can.
When people go on trainings, they go in with an intention. So when they come on a training, maybe they came on this training with you and they think, oh man, I'm going to learn how to generate leads and blah, 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 blah. You already know how to do that. You know how to do it. What you don't know is what's going on is you don't know why you're not taking the action. There's two different things going on here. There's, you know how to do it because the training is all over the web. You can pay $50 for a really good training and generate leads. You just don't know why you're not taking it. And that comes down to the mindset stuff. Mindset is everything. It's everything. It's belief.
Yep.
That's it.
I'm glad you said that because people think, oh, I got my business here. I'm going to do this, or I got this particular strategy that I'm doing. But, you know, all that stuff doesn't matter unless up here is good and you're growing that.
Right on, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Krivda, thank you so much. Guys here, I want to thank you for hanging out with me for about a half an hour as we talk to a top earner to help you get some tips, strategies to help you become a top earner in 2016. Be sure to join me next week as I sit down, just have a one-on-one with a top earner. So, Mr. Krivda, thank you so much. I'll be seeing you in August at an event.
Man. Hey, I appreciate you, Billy, man. This is cool stuff. You know, you talked to me when I was on the road last week, and I couldn't make last Thursday, so I'm glad I was here tonight. This has been awesome.
Glad I was able to have you, and I sure appreciate you.
I'm grateful for you, man. You're awesome. You're awesome.
You are too. You have a good night, and thank you so much, and good night, everyone.
Bye, guys.